The Gentleman of the Jungle by Jomo Kenyatta. The Gentleman of the Jungle is a story written in 1937 by Kenya's first official Prime Minister, Jomo Kenyatta. The story is about an elephant that has made a friendship with a man. It turns out that the man is getting bamboozled by all the animals because they pretend to be his friend. Suddenly, the man and the elephant found a lot of attention from all the other animals because they quarreled. At the end, the man ends up killing all the animals and lived happily ever after. This analysis will focus on the questions from comprehension, interpretation, and analysis. Yes, the relationship between the man and the elephant is good in the opening paragraph. The man has a little hut at the edge of the forest, and one day there was a heavy thunderstorm, and then the man's friend came to him. It was the elephant, and it seems like they are having a good relationship in the opening paragraph because the elephant needs help and the man helps him. The elephant wanted to put his trunk inside the hut, and the man said that there was a small room for his trunk. The man helps a friend, but the elephant fools him. The elephant slowly pushed his head inside and then flung the man out in the rain, so the elephant could lay down comfortably inside his friend's hut. The man seems to be a very nice guy who's helping his friend, but the elephant is selfish and ungrateful. The elephant is using the argument that the man's skin is much harder than the elephant's skin, so the man can afford to remain in the rain. Is that a fair argument? I personally don't think so, because it's not true, because the elephant is an animal and therefore they are used to live outdoor, and their skin is much harder than a human skin. The king of the jungle, which is the lion, wants peace and tranquility in his kingdom, so therefore he appoints an imperial commission of inquiry to solve the dispute between the man and the elephant. The lion appointed Mr. Rhinoceros, Mr. Buffalo, Mr. Alligator, the Artichon, and then Mr. Fox was chosen to be a chairman, and finally Mr. Leopard was chosen to act as secretary of the commission. This means that all the members of the commission were on the elephant side, and that is not fair at all. The lion used the argument that it was impossible to have any members of the commissions from the man's side, because the man's side was not well enough educated to understand the intricacy of the jungle law. The lion says that there is nothing to be worried about because they are all gentlemen. It is not fair for the man because he knows that all the members of the commission are against him. The elephant says as an evidence that he considered it as necessary to turn the undeveloped space to a more economic use by sitting in it himself. He says that it was his friend's own interest to save the elephant, but that is not entirely true. The man wants to help the elephant, but both of them must be in the hut. He finished his evidence by saying that it was a duty which any of the other members of the commission would undoubtedly have performed with equal readiness in similar circumstances. The lion asked the man whether the undeveloped space in the hut was occupied by anyone else before Mr. Elephant. The man was about to tell his evidence, but he only said no, but he couldn't say more than that because he was not allowed to do that. And the findings of the commission are not fair at all because the man wasn't allowed to argue his case. They said that Mr. Elephant shall continue his occupation of the man's hut, and then the man gets permission to look for a new site where he can build a new hut. It was the elephant's fault, and the man should get his hut back. The consequences for the man was that he builds another hut, and then later Mr. Rhinoceros charged in with his horn lowered and ordered the man to quit. Then the man made a decision that he must adopt an effective method of protection because the commissions of inquiry weren't any use to him. Then he said the sentence: "You can fool people for a time, but not forever." The man built a big hut, and then all the animals came into the hut. When they were all in the hut, the man burned down the hut, which means that all the animals died. Of course, the ending is kind of good, but the animals have not treated the man that good. But it's of course not okay to kill other living beings. The animals represent the countries who colonized Africa. The animals have real feelings and are much higher in the hierarchy than the man in the small community. If you look at kingdom and how it is organized and ruled, it pretty much looks like a real community in an industrialized country. The leader or the king of the community is the lion. It is actually the same as the famous movie The Lion King, where the king is the leader of the big crowd. After the king comes the elephant, which is one of the high ministers of the kingdom. It is like in the real world where there is a prime minister, then ministers, and so on. Or in the old days where there were general lieutenants and then all the soldiers. Furthermore, there is a great example of how the animals are just like real humans, human beings, because they are calling each other Mr. and Mrs. before their name. And the example is Speak and Text 5 of 7, line 12 to 13. Mr. Elephant, they reached their verdict, called the man, and declared as follows. This is typical British to say Mr. and Mrs. before the real name, and Britain was also a colonial power once, so this could be about British people. The man represents the black people or the natives. The animals / the white people capture the man's hut and actually keep doing it until he gets angry and leaves from the community. The animals treat him like a non-human being, but at the end, the man, I think he had two opportunities. He could leave the community and give all the power to the animals, the white people, and then they will just keep doing what they do. Or he could kill them all so they will never do it again. He kills them all and fools them so they will never have the ability to do such things again. If you look at the title of the story, The Gentleman of the Jungle, it is an apparent contradiction. The colonists were known as gentlemen in the early days, especially the British people, but it quickly turns out that they were selfish and arrogant. That is maybe the reason why the author has made such an apparent contradiction as a title. There's also an example in the text which shows that the animals are the gentlemen of the jungle, even though a man is living in a hut too. And the example is Speak 2 of 7, line 12 to 14. I command my ministers to appoint a commission of inquiry to go thoroughly into this matter, and I report accordingly. The message of the story is that the author wants to show the black rights under the colonization. The white people just came to the country and ruled it without showing any respect to the natives. The natives showed kindness to the white people, but the white people just took advantage of the natives' kindness and drew them out of their own houses and homes. Then there is another example from the text, Speak 6 of 7, lines 6 to 7. This procedure was repeated until Mr. Buffalo, Mr. Leopard, Mr. Hyena, and the rest were all accommodated with the new hoods. Yes, and then the question, why does Jomo Kenyatta choose a fable to express his message? The author has probably even seen a degree of racism in his own life, and then he wants to express what it was like to be a part of that time. He wrote it in a way so everybody could understand it, even children, by using animals and using inspirations from the Lion King. That's probably the reason why he wrote this as a fable, so everybody could see what happened at the time where they were colonized. The natives were kind and hospitable, but the foreigners took advantage of the natives' kindness, which makes the natives look kind of naive. The author wants to show that they were not naive, but just people who welcomed everybody with open arms.